Leaders are often encouraged to think big and inspire others. And thinking big is indeed one of the 40 principles in the Wardley Maps method. But thinking big comes further down the line in Phase 3. First, you've got to get control of your ship by putting in some foundational work. Because thinking big without getting the basics right is like running before you can walk. Without gaining control of your business first, you will trip up spectacularly. Therefore, top of the list is building your core capabilities in Phase 1. One of the key principles in Phase 1 is thinking small, in other words, knowing the details. Here's how to start. Gather a small team of people, someone from a client-facing role who knows the users best, and the rest who know how things get done in your organization. So operations people and IT people who know the systems upon which everything is built. Then get the team to map your organization. Focus on the details on how things get done, how decisions are made and how resources are allocated. You might find the results startling. Here's an example of this principle in action. The Food Standards Agency, FSA, a UK government department, employs over 1,000 people. The FSA had been instructed to cut costs by 20% as part of a wider cost-cutting drive in government following Brexit. Additionally, they were instructed not to renew a long-standing outsourcing contract, so they had to figure out how to do activities they'd previously paid others to do. The first step the FSA's leadership took was to pull together a small team to map their current state of the organisation, so they could see what they were dealing with. This took the team a couple of months to complete, and this is how it looked. The chaos came as a shock, but it was not a surprise to the leadership. They knew they'd been struggling to get things done for a while. Their next step was to adopt one of the key mapping principles that we covered earlier to focus on user needs. They mapped out different needs, such as the user's need here for effective and timely communication across the network. This was how the FSA was meeting that need back in November 2017. They took the decision to stop custom building anything that didn't differentiate them. In other words, they stopped building those things on the bottom left of the map. They would only custom build things that would create unique value for users and for everything else that used off-the-shelf products or utility-like services. Of course, as people's prep projects were being threatened, there was resistance to this change at first, but department heads were told to prove it if they thought their project should be an exception to this rule. Very few could. 9 months later, this was how the FSA was satisfying user needs for effective communication. By thinking small, in other words by knowing the details, the FSA was able to clarify what they should be doing and to start doing that better. They repeated this approach across the entire organisation, mapping user needs in detail and questioning whether they needed to keep doing these things. 12 months later, this was the map of their entire organisation. It had gone from being a messy, overcomplicated organisation to becoming clear enough for the leadership to be able to see and determine the next best moves they should make. By their own admission, the FSA still had a long way to go, but they now had a clear direction of travel around which the entire organisation could understand and align. And you may be wondering, did they hit their 20% cost-cutting target? No, they cut costs by 40% instead. So before trying to think big and inspire others, focus on thinking small and knowing the details first, because, as the old saying goes, the devil is in the details.